Dividing multiples of 10. Today you're going to develop fluency in dividing multiples of 10, and you're going to use multiples of 10 to divide other numbers. When we start at 0 and skip count by tens, we are saying the multiples of 10. 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Multiples of 10 will always have a 0 in the ones digit. 40 divided by 10. Let's draw this as we practiced last week. 10, 20, 30, 40. I have 4 tens blocks so that I know my answer is going to be 4. 70 divided by 10. Same thing, drawing tens blocks. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. I have 7 tens blocks. Divide 50 by 10. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I have 5 tens blocks. Go ahead and finish this page. What other division can I make from this equation? 40 divided by 10 equals 4. Well, I can also skip count by 4s instead of by 10s. It just takes a little longer. For example, 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40. So if I instead divide 40 by 4, I get the answer of 10. Also, dividing 70 by 7 would be 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63, 70. Ooh, I think I need a little review. Exercises. Go back and write another division for each equation in the previous exercises. Instead of 50 divided by 10 equals 5, we could rewrite this as 50 divided by 5 equals 10. Go ahead and finish the page. Divide 30 divided by 3. Now, if we wanted, we could draw a picture of groups of 3. For example, 1, 2, 3, that's my first group. 4, 5, 6, and we could keep going until we reached 30, then count the number of groups. The problem with this strategy is it's starting to take a long time. Our second strategy would be to skip count by 3s. Again, we could do this, it just takes a little time. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. Our quotient, our answer, would be 10. I'm hoping you're starting to notice a pattern. Go ahead and finish this page. 10 divided by 5. How many groups of 5 ones are in each tens block? Well, we can skip count by 5, and if we skip count by 5, we get 5, 10. So we know there are 2 groups of 5 ones in each tens block. With 20 divided by 5, we can skip count by 5s as well, or we can think about this is 2 tens blocks, and we know that there are 2 5s in each tens block, which would mean our quotient is 4. 40 divided by 5. Yikes, this is getting a little tricky. We know that there are 2 5s in each tens block. So there's 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. Or I could, for example, draw my circle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's one group. That's 2 group. And if I did that for all of them, I could add them up and find out how many groups. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We know that 40 divided by 5 is 8. Make the number with tens blocks and then skip count to divide. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. My quotient is 6. Try these next couple by yourself. I'm curious if you noticed a pattern. The question is, what do we multiply by 2 in these exercises? If you look at my picture, I have 3 tens blocks, and you look at my quotient is 6. Well, we know that 3 times 2 equals 6. If you check your answers, you're going to see that 6 tens blocks times 2 equals 12. 12 is going to be your quotient. Go ahead and check the other 2. Now we're going to divide by 5 by multiplying the tens by 2. We know that 40 is 4 tens, so 40 divided by 5 equals this number times 2. 4 times 2 is 8. Try the next 3. Instead of groups of 5, what about groups of 2? How many groups of 2 ones are in 10? Hint, what is 10 divided by 2? We can skip count by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. I know my quotient is 5. We can skip count by 5s to multiply a number by 2. Let's skip count by 5s to find 40 divided by 2. 5, 10, 15, 20. We find out our answer is 20. Skip count by 5s to multiply. Again, I'm going to start by drawing my tens blocks, 10, 20, 30, and then I'm going to skip count by 5s to find my answer, 5, 10, 15. Go ahead and try the next couple. 80 divided by 2. What would I multiply to find this answer? We know that 80 is 8 tens. And because we're dividing by 2, we can instead multiply by 5, getting a product, 8 times 5, 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, of 40. What would I multiply to find this answer? 8 times 5. Every multiple of 10 can be divided into groups of 2, 5, or 10 evenly. Some can even be divided into groups of 4. Can 10 divided by 4 be divided equally? 4, 8, 12. It can't. Let's try 20 divided by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. It can. It's 5. Interesting. Let's keep going. 30 divided by 4. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. No, it can't be divided equally. 40 divided by 4. Well, if you remember our pattern, I know that this is going to be 10. It can be. Keep going and finish the page. What do the multiples of 5 end in? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. Well, the ones place value is either 0 or 5. We have an easy way to divide the multiples of 5 that end in 0. 30 divided by 5. If you remember our easy way, you take the tens, which is 3 tens, and times it by 2, giving us 6. 40 divided by 5 is 4 tens, times 2 is 8. Now, we don't have an easy way to divide 35 by 5, but I'm curious if you notice a pattern. Find the answers and then tell me what the pattern is. The pattern actually is 35 divided by 5 is 7. 45 divided by 5 is 9. Look, the pattern is 6, 7, 8, 9. As we go up by groups of 5, our quotient goes up by 1. 20 divided by 5. We know that is 2 tens times 2 will give us our quotient of 4. If this is 4, then 25 divided by 5 is going to be 5. It's going to be 1 more than the 4. Go ahead and finish this page. Extensions number 1. Multiply the tens by 2 to divide. What are my tens? Well, I have 12 tens. And if I multiply 12 by 2, 12 plus 12 is 24. My quotient is going to be 24. Try the rest of the page. Now, when we divide by 5, we need to multiply the tens by 2. Now, this is a tough number, but I know that 120 divided by 5 is a lot easier. 120 divided by 5 would be 12 times 2, which is 24. Then we just need to add one more group of 5, which would be 25. Now that you see the pattern, I bet you could find the answer just by adding 1 to the quotients on the first page. This may look intimidating, but let's try it. 70 divided by 10, if we draw our tens, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, is 7. Now, if we wanted to, we could draw hundreds blocks. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700. If we're dividing by hundreds, it would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have the same quotient. Go ahead and try the rest of the page. Now at this point, I'm hoping you're super confident. One of the ways I can do this is by ignoring all of the zeros. 8 divided by 1, well, that's just 8. Now the reason you can do this is because there's 2 zeros here and there's 2 here. If there's an unequal amount of zeros, you might get in trouble by ignoring the zeros. 8,000 divided by 100 isn't 8. See if you can find the answers to the rest of this page. Ava has 35 grapes. She has 5 times as many grapes as Jack. How many grapes do they have together? Ava, 35. Jack times 5 equals Ava. So your first job is to find out Jack times 5 equals 35. And then you need to add Ava's grapes to Jack's grapes to get our final answer. Go ahead and try it out. Bill, Jane, and Nika went to the library to study. Bill spent 3 times as many minutes studying as Jane. Jane spent 20 more minutes studying than Nika. Nika spent 30 minutes studying. How many minutes did they all spend studying together? We are given how many minutes Nika has spent, 30. Jane spent 20 more minutes studying than Nika, so Jane equals Nika plus 20. And Bill spent 3 times as many minutes studying as Jane, so Bill equals Jane times 3. Once you've found out how much each of them have spent, you need to add them all together to find our final answer. All together. Bill plus Jane plus Nika. Best of luck. Jane and Nika went back to the library. They spent 95 minutes studying at the library altogether. Nika spent 4 times as much time studying as Jane did. How much time did each of them spend studying? It's helpful to start questions like this with t-tables. Let's start with a t-table that is Jane and Nika. So Nika spends 4 times as much time studying as Jane did. So if Jane spent 1 minute studying, Nika will have spent 4. If Jane spent 2 minutes, Nika will spend 8. The other piece of information we're given is that altogether they spent 95 minutes. So if we add the time they've spent together for these first 2, you get 5, and then you get 10. Let's keep going a little further and see if we find a pattern. 3 would be 12. 4 would be 16, and 20. Have you figured out the pattern yet? Look at this. We're just skip counting by 5s. If Jane spent 1 minute, altogether they spent 5 minutes. Jane spent 2 minutes, altogether we spent 10. Keep going until you reach 95 to find out how much time each of them spent studying. Awesome work. This is our first booklet this week. We do have a second booklet that you can work on another day.